Hello ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about volume of rectangular prisms. So we were just doing surface area. Surface area is where we think about how much is on the outside of a shape, like wrapping paper, how much we would need to wrap the outside with. Volume is how much can that present hold, or how much can that object fit inside of it. So to find volume of rectangular prism, it is the area of the base times the height of the prism. So we have two formulas that we can use. One is probably very familiar to you, and one might be slightly new. So the two formulas that are exactly the same is the volume is equal to the area of the base, which is an uppercase B, times the height of the prism, or something a little bit more familiar is the volume is equal to length times the width times the height. Now if we think about how I would find the area of the base, I would do length times width. So this is just length times width is just the same thing as the area of the base, just written slightly differently, just kind of expanded out. So we're going to do two example problems. So my first problem here is I've got a rectangular prism. It is 7/8 meters by 1/2 meters by 5/8 meters high. So the first thing we want to do, number one, we write our formula. Length times width times height. Number two, we substitute our values. So our length is 7/8, our width is 1/2, and our height is 5/8. All right? Then simply multiply. Everything's in fraction form. I can't simplify anything, so I'm just going to multiply my numerators. 7 times 1 times 5, 35. Multiply my denominators. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 8 is 128. Number 4, simplify if possible. Can I simplify this at all? Nope, I can't. So my answer is 35 128 meters cubed. When we talk volume, it's very important that we're talking cubed. We're looking at how many little cubes can fit inside this shape. Area is squared, volume is cubed. Let's take a look at our next problem that we have down here. I've got a cube, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So I'm going to again write my formula down. Volume is equal to length times width times height. I'm going to substitute. Volume is equal to 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Well, I cannot multiply 1/2 times 1.5 times 1.5. I have to convert it first. So I'm going to convert it into improper fractions. So I did. So I did 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3, so 3/2. So 3/2 times 3/2 times 3/2. I multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Multiply by denominators. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. So I've got 27/8, and I'm going to simplify. That simplifies into a mixed number as 3 3/8 inches, and again, cubed. All right, those are our two examples. All right, I have two on your own problems. So take a second, pause the video, and write these down, and then you can start again, and we're going to do these together. So hopefully you've already done these. So now we're going to start. First thing we're going to do is our formula. So volume is equal to length times width times height. I'm going to substitute. Volume is equal to, my length is 1, my width is 1 1/3, my height is 1/2. Now I need to convert to an improper fraction because I can't multiply by that mixed number. So my volume is equal to 1, let's say 1/1, times 3/4 times 1/2. Now if you remember back when we were multiplying fractions, we want to simplify before we multiply. So I can cross cancel my 2 and my 4. That becomes a 1, this becomes a 2. And now I can multiply my numerators and my denominators. So I end up with 2/3 for my answer. That's 2/3 feet cubed. So that is my answer for the volume of this prism. Let's go back. Let's go to my next one. So I've got what appears to be a cube, 3/4 of a yard by 3/4 of a yard by 3/4 of a yard. Again, start with my formula. Volume is equal to length times width times height. Substitute. Volume is equal to 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. They're all fractions, so I'm going to now multiply. Volume is equal to 3 times 3, which is 9. 9 times 3, which is 27. Over 4 times 4, which is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. And can I simplify that? Let's see. I don't think so. So 27/64 yards cubed.